Hello there guys, welcome to one of my live videos, and on this video there is lots to negotiate about. I am going to be giving you an update on some more transfer news. So I am going to be giving you a bit more additional information on Anthony Martial, because there is huge developments on Anthony Martial. And also too, I am going to be talking with you about Dembele from Barcelona, because there has been narratives coming out of the mainstream media saying that Manchester United and Arsenal have expressed their interest in him. And a bit later on in the video, I'm going to give you the updates on Rashford and Pogba. And a bit later on then in the video, I'm going to be talking with you a bit about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So the first topic I'm going to start with is Anthony Martial. So the news is on Anthony Martial, and this is stemming from the Italian press. It actually says that Inter Milan are considering making a move for Anthony Martial when the transfer window does reopen, because obviously Inter Milan are looking for an adequate replacement for Lautaro Martinez, because Lautaro Martinez is being linked with a move to Barcelona. We've given our overarching view on this speculation linking Anthony Martial with a move to Inter Milan, and it actually says we've got no intentions of selling Anthony Martial in the summer transfer window. Now, as you all know, Inter Milan have bought 3 players off us already. Of course, they got Ashley Young offers this year for around £1.5 million. Of course, Ashley Young endured 8.5 years at Manchester United, so he was a very long-serving player. They also got Lukaku from us last summer. Inter Milan, I think, paid around £70 million for him. Of course, Lukaku did endure 2 years at Manchester United. He scored 42 goals in 96 games for the club. 96 games for the club in all competitions. And I thought, Lukaku had an exceptional first season, but didn't really replicate that in his second season, did Lukaku? Because in the end, he had to go, did Lukaku, because he did initially lose his place in the team. We did pay £75 million in from Everton. But, looking at it from a financial point of view, we would have been delighted, getting £70 million for Romelu Lukaku. But obviously, when the transfer market does reopen, we're going to have to try and find an adequate replacement for Lukaku, because we didn't replace him last summer when he left the football club. And I think now Lukaku's doing really, really well at Inter Milan. And don't forget, Inter Milan also got Alexis Sanchez off us last summer. He's obviously, out on loan with Inter Milan. There was reports coming out the other week saying, that Sanchez is set to stay at Manchester United, so he will come back after his loan spell with Inter Milan, and he will see out the remainder of his contract with Man United. He's under contract with the club until 2022. Now, it did say the other week that Alexis Sanchez has refused to take a pay cut. I'm reflecting on that, he may not, we may not be able to get rid of him permanently, because I don't think any teams, can afford to pay his wages off. Maybe a couple, but not many can afford to pay his wages off, because Sanchez's wages at Man United is 400 grand a week, potentially rising up to £500,000 a week based on, the bonuses and the image rights and etc, etc. But, he's on loan at Inter Milan, but despite the fact that he's on loan at Inter Milan, we're still paying the vast majority of his wages. We're still paying him like 300 grand a week, and Inter Milan are paying like the other £100,000 a week. And I've got to say, Sanchez has endured a very, very difficult time in Milan. I think he's only started 2 games in the Serie A this season. And also, he endured a difficult 18 months at Manchester United. Don't forget, we got Sanchez as part of a swap deal of Mkhitaryan going to Arsenal back in January 2018. But some people, believe that Sanchez should be given a second chance at Man United, because some people believe he can rediscover the form at Man United of what he produced at Barcelona and what he produced at Arsenal. And Sanchez also sustained quite a few injuries, during his 18 months with Manchester United. But he did make around 45 appearances for the club in all competitions. So yeah, revert back to what I said. Inter Milan have already got 3 players off us. But I can't see Anthony Martial leaving in the summer, because I still think he's the foreseeable future for Manchester United. And I know that if we were to sign a winger when the transfer window does reopen, then Anthony Martial could find game time very, very difficult. There again, let's put Daniel James into the equation. He could also find game time very, very difficult if we are to sign a right winner. But Anthony Martial, of course, is into his 5th season now as a Manchester United player, so he has been a long-serving player for the football club. Martial, I think, scored around 16 or is it 17 goals this season for Manchester United. I think he's got over 60 odd goals in just over 200 odd appearances in all competitions. Now, I think, before the football season that got suspended due to the coronavirus pandemic and that, I thought Martial really, really rejuvenated himself. But, let's be honest as well, Martial has sustained quite a few injuries this season, so you can say that's had a bad effect on Anthony Martial. There again, he's enjoyed some difficult spells as Man United playing. I thought he enjoyed a very, very difficult time under the Jose Mourinho era, did Anthony Martial. But there again, Jose Mourinho had bad disputes with the top players, Martial, Luke Shaw, Paul Pogba. Fred never really got his opportunities under Mourinho, and I think if we'd have still had Mourinho now, probably Martial, Shaw and Paul Pogba and that wouldn't have been at the football club. But I'll reiterate what I've said on my recent videos. I think, the best season Anthony Martial enjoyed was his debut season at the football club because, I thought he was exceptional in his debut season under Louis van Gaal. Of course, it was Louis van Gaal that recommended him in. Martial, of course, scored in his debut against Liverpool when we beat them by 3-1. And we paid around £36 million for Anthony Martial, potentially rising up to 57 or 58 million based on goals and achievements. I think what we need to do is find Martial a permanent position because he does predominantly play out wide on the left, and in his 4 previous seasons prior to this one, he's been playing on that left-hand side. But like I've said, this season, Anthony Martial has been playing in that number 9 role. I think we've been putting him in the number 9 role this season, reflecting on how good he did throughout pre-season because he looks very, very effective in that central position. But obviously, you've got Rashford that can play as a number 9 and you can play him out wide. You've got Greenwood that can play as a number 9 and you can play him out wide and that. But yeah, so Inter Milan, are looking to do, more investment, They did obviously, get Christian Eriksen, don't forget, back in January from Tottenham because, Christian Eriksen endured around 7 years with Tottenham. But I'm very, very sceptical that Anthony Martial will leave the football club. Some United fans have got different perceptions on him. Some United fans would let him go. Some United fans, would be determined to keep him. But he is only the age of 24. We did get him at just the age of 19. And don't forget, he's got a long-term contract with the club because last year, he signed a new long-term contract with Manchester United, did Anthony Martial. So that's the latest news on him. Now let's delve into the news on Ousmane Dembele from Barcelona. So I've just been reading the Daily Mail and quite a few other reports, and they're saying, that Manchester United and Arsenal are considering a move for Ousmane Dembele from Barcelona. Now, our element of concern, and also to Arsenal's element of concern, is Ousmane Dembele's injuries, because he has sustained numerous injuries, as a Barcelona player. I think he must have had about 7 muscular injuries, Ousmane Dembele, and I think, his recent ones ruled him out from February till August. So reflecting on his injuries, Man United and Arsenal, may not want to get the player, we may want to get him assessed, first before, Man United or Arsenal step up their interest in Ousmane Dembele. Now, I've also just been reading the Daily Express, and they've actually said that Ousmane Dembele has held negotiations with Anthony Martial over the possible transfer to Manchester United, and Ousmane Dembele has, actually asked Anthony Martial how life is at Old Trafford because, they are both French, don't forget, so that maybe would be one of the beneficial things about Man United recommending Ousmane Dembele in. I think, we've inquired about his availability in the past, Ousmane Dembele. I think this is now his 3rd season with Barcelona. I think Ousmane Dembele has made around 74 appearances for Barcelona in all competitions, and around 51 of those appearances have come in the La Liga. But like I mentioned, his appearances have been limited due to his injuries. Now, Barcelona did pay around, just over £96 million for him from Borussia Dortmund back in 2017. But the deal was worth up to £135 million because there was like £40 odd million in add-ons. So at the time Barcelona did get Ousmane Dembele, he was the 2nd joint most expensive player, alongside Paul Pogba. I think, by the way, as well, Ousmane Dembele has got around a €400 million release clause in his contract with Barcelona, and I think he's under contract with Barcelona until 2022. But yeah, I think, analysing Ousmane Dembele at Barcelona, I think, he's been totally comparison to how he was at Borussia Dortmund, because I thought Ousmane Dembele enjoyed a very, very good short tenure with Borussia Dortmund. And before he was at Borussia Dortmund, he was at Rennes. So he actually began his career in France. And he was at Rennes for several years. Ousmane Dembele is only at the age of 22. His versatility is also very, very good. You can play him as a left winger, you can play him as a right winger, and you can also play him as a forward. But yeah, so Barcelona are willing to let Ousmane Dembele go. They're definitely not going to recoup, the £96 million. They're not going to recoup all the £96 million that they paid for him. I think Barcelona have said they want in the £40 million range if they are to sell Ousmane Dembele when the transfer window does reopen. But he hasn't played in the Premier League as yet, but do you think he would be Premier League standard if he was to come in? But yeah, he is very, very injury prone, so that's an element of concern. But you've got quite a few injury prone players. Gareth Bale's very injury prone at Real Madrid. Very, very injury prone. Obviously, like I said, Sanchez, he's been injury prone. Arjen Robben, of course, he was also very, very injury prone. Eric Bailly for us, he's also very, very injury prone. So there's quite a few injury prone players. But I think Barcelona anyway, in general, looking to offload a few players. Obviously, looking to get rid of Philippe Coutinho on a permanent transfer. Don't forget, because he's been on loan at Bayern Munich as Philippe Coutinho. So yeah, would you take Ousmane Dembele at Manchester United? Let me know in the comments below. So now he's another attacking player on our agenda. Now, let's give you the news on Marcus Rashford and Paul Pogba. So, it has confirmed that Marcus Rashford and Paul Pogba will return to full training after the coronavirus lockdown is over. And it's very, very good news because, they have been stepping up their fitness regime. And I did say, didn't I, in my video yesterday night, that Rashford and Paul Pogba have been a miss for Manchester United throughout the course of this season. Rashford has been out since January the 11th. He has been out for quite some time. Rashford has been out with a back injury. Obviously, he sustained this back injury in our win against Wolves in the FA Cup. But of course, Solskjaer made the wrong decision by playing Rashford in that game against Wolves in the FA Cup. Because he hadn't played him in that game, then Rashford's injury wouldn't have occurred. His injury wouldn't have occurred. So, let's just put that into the equation. But, Rashford, like I mentioned, has sustained quite a few injuries as a Manchester United player. Rashford, like I mentioned, he's been a United player since the age of 7, and he's been in our senior squad since 2016. And like I said, since he broke into the senior squad, he has become an integral part of our team as Rashford. Don't get me wrong, he's enjoyed some difficult spells. Like I mentioned, he wasn't so good under Mourinho, but he looks much better now under the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era. And like I said to you on my video this morning, there's a lot of players that have improved under the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era. But yeah, he's spent the entirety of his career with the club so far as Marcus Rashford, and I think he's got 19 goals in 31 games this season. Over 60-odd senior goals and just over 200-odd appearances since he broke into the senior squad. I actually think Solskjaer does prefer Rashford out wide than playing in the number 9. But, when footballers eventually resume, it will be good to see Marcus Rashford back in action. Yes, it really, really will. Because let's be honest, Rashford is one of our best players, and he was one of our best players earlier on in the season before he got injured. So, yeah, he will be back. And Paul Pogba, he hasn't played for Man United, since Boxing Day. He hasn't played since Boxing Day, and that was the game on Boxing Day, is when we beat Newcastle by 4-1. And he hasn't started a game from the start since September. Paul Pogba's only played 8 times this season for the football club. His appearances have been limited due to his injuries. Now, like I said, analysing Paul Pogba's tenure with the club so far, he's also sustained quite a few injuries as a Manchester United player. But I think, as you all know, Paul Pogba's been talking a lot to the United podcast recently. He's been giving an interview to the United podcast and that, and, he was talking about, the issues that he's had with injuries this season. Obviously, he did make an admission and say he will be back stronger, when the season does eventually resume, because he has been infuriated with the injuries that he's had this season. I think he did have the surgery on his ankle back in January, did Paul Pogba. Now, if recent reports are to be believed, it's looking likely, Paul Pogba is going to be now staying at the football club, so he's going to remain loyal to Manchester United. Paul Pogba, don't forget, has got the same perception now as what he had last summer. Because obviously, Paul Pogba, I still believe deep down wants to leave Manchester United. But he said last summer he wanted to leave Manchester United because he was seeking for a new challenge, and he publicly admitted that he wanted to leave the club. And his actual preference last summer was to make a move to Real Madrid. But the main explanation why his move to Real Madrid didn't materialise is reflecting on the substantial amount we put on him, because we quoted out that we wanted around £180 million for Paul Pogba. So we was demanding just over double than what we paid for him from Juventus back in 2016. So yeah, we did want 180 million, but Real Madrid were not willing to meet that valuation. And don't forget, last year in that, Paul Pogba was talking a lot about Real Madrid, about his dreams of playing under Zinedine Zidane and stuff like that. Don't forget Mini Raiola, Pogba's agent. He's got a good relation with Real Madrid, and Mini Raiola's been talking a lot since the start of the year. And Man United have been very, very critical of Mini Raiola, reflecting on some of the comments he said. I think Ed Woodward this year has had quite a few negotiations with Mini Raiola to try and resolve Paul Pogba's future. And like I said, Real Madrid did recruit a good 6 players in last summer. Like I said, they got Luka Jovic from Frankfurt, but they're not happy with Luka Jovic, so they're looking to offload him. Obviously, they got Eden Hazard. They also got Rodrigo, they got Ferland Mendy, they got Eden Militao, so they did get quite a few players in. So they're looking to get more players in, but they're also looking to offload players. They're looking to get rid of Bale, they're looking to get rid of James Rodriguez. Don't forget, I give you the news regarding Rodriguez recently, because his agent, George Mendes, has been in contact with Man United over, a possible transfer to Old Trafford. But I think it's very, very unlikely that Man United will sign James Rodriguez. Madrid are also looking to get rid of Dani Ceballos on a permanent transfer. So yeah, this is what, Real Madrid are planning to do. But I think, if Paul Pogba leaves the football club, I think his first choice does remain Juventus. Because obviously, don't forget, Paul Pogba did enjoy 4 good years in Turin with Juventus. But the vast majority of his performances at Man United since he rejoined have been sort of comparison to his ones in Turin. Like I mentioned to you as well, swap deals have been on the agenda in recent weeks. Obviously, the other week there was talks of Aaron Ramsey coming to Man United as part of a swap deal of Pogba going back to Juventus. There's been obviously talks of Matthias de Ligt coming to Man United as part of a swap deal of Pogba going to Juventus. So swap deals have been on the agenda, but like I mentioned, swap deals are very, very rare in the modern game. But there again, it's very, very rare, that players do go back to their former clubs. Obviously, Pogba's done it because we had Paul Pogba when he was younger, back under the Alex Ferguson era. But the main explanation why he left under Alex Ferguson is due to limited appearances and that. So, yeah. But obviously, the La Liga expert, he came out yesterday and he basically, expects Paul Pogba to sign a new long-term contract at Manchester United and become the club's leader. As it stands at the moment, Pogba's got 2 years remaining on his contract. 1 year, but the club do have an option to extend it for a further year. And let's also say this, Paul Pogba is one of the highest paid players at the football club. Pogba is on around £300,000 a week at Man United, and if he was to sign a new long-term contract, no doubt he'd want an increase on his wages. So let's just put that into the equation. Obviously, like I updated you, was it last week? Paul Pogba had responded, to the criticism that he has received from Graham Souness, because Graham Souness has been persistently criticising Paul Pogba, and Pogba had ignored it for a while, but it was just recently that he had responded to the criticism from Graham Souness, saying he don't even recognise Graham Souness. He never knew who he was. He just heard he was a very, very good player and that for Liverpool and stuff like that. Also too, Pogba made an admission by saying he was an Arsenal fan when he was a lot younger. So too his brother was, but his other brother was a Manchester United fan. As it stands at the moment, Pogba's our most expensive signing because, we did pay £89 million for the player. Yes, we paid £89 million. But if we were to sell him, like I mentioned, it's very imperative that we get more money for him than what we paid for him. But obviously, due to this coronavirus pandemic, maybe we'd only get maybe 50, 60 or £70 million for Paul Pogba, because, like I said to you, a lot of teams are under financial pressure across the world due to this coronavirus pandemic. Obviously, like I said to you as well, teams, top flight clubs, are set to lose millions in revenues due to this coronavirus pandemic. It did say before the Premier League face a financial penalty of 762 million, if the season wasn't to resume, but I do believe that the season is going to resume anyway. There isn't an exact date when the season, there isn't an exact date or, month, I don't think, when the season is going to resume. Don't forget, the Premier League recently had a meeting to establish plans for the remainder of the season, because obviously, before this recent meeting happened, there was talks of the season resuming on the 6th of, was it June, and the Premier League said they wanted it to come to a conclusion by the 30th of June. But this is what they were supposed to negotiate, when the season that we're going to start and finish. But none of this was mentioned in the meeting. The issues with the pay cuts, that wasn't mentioned. The transfer windows, that also wasn't mentioned. What has been mentioned is that, Liverpool are going to change a sponsor from New Balance to Nike, I think, also to Newcastle and Watford are. So, let's just put that into the equation. But if the season if the season doesn't resume, it'd be interesting to see how it would implicate the leagues. What had happened. I think even if the season if the season was to be void, I still think Liverpool would get the title. Leeds would probably, Leeds and West Brom would probably come up from the Championship and that. But I think, the season will resume when it is safe to do so. There was a rumour as well saying that, there could be 22 teams in the Premier League and 4 or 5 could get relegated if the season doesn't resume. And I think UEFA are planning to play the Champions League final on August the 29th and stuff like that. But yeah, I just think it will resume, when it is safe to do so. Because I think some players have had their wages cut anyway by around 30%. But yeah. So revert back to what I said regarding Pogba. So yeah, if recent reports are to be believed, it's looking likely he's going to be staying at Manchester United. But, Man United fans have got different perceptions on Pogba. Some United fans would be determined to keep him, and some United fans, would let Paul Pogba go. If he was to keep Paul Pogba, then maybe won't be interested in recommending a midfielder in. But then maybe we would, because I think even if Pogba was to stay, Manchester United do need to get a midfielder in. So when this coronavirus lockdown's over, Pogba and Rashford will be back in action. But like I've said to you, we've had quite a few injuries this season. Obviously, like I said, Martial's injured a few. Luke Shaw, he was out injured earlier on in the season. He was out for a good 2 months, was Luke Shaw. But since he's come back, I've got to make an admission, he's done really, really well. But Luke Shaw is injury prone. He's sustained quite a few injuries as a Manchester United player. Forgot to mention him earlier on in the video. He's another injury prone player. But since he's come back, he's done really, really well. So I've got to give Luke Shaw a hell of a lot of credit. He's now into his 6th season at Manchester United, is Luke Shaw. Bailly, like I said earlier on, he's very injury prone as well. He's obviously, just come back from injury. Well, he came back from injury, just before the football season that got suspended. He's one of our backup centre-halves, is Eric Bailly. But some United fans do believe that Bailly is too good to be a backup. The lot, sustained a few injuries this season. The lots are back up to Wan-Bissaka, backup right back. Obviously, McTominay, he was out injured for a while. But I think McTominay in general anyway has enjoyed a very, very good season this season. So reflect on the injuries we've had this season anyway, we've had to make a lot of rotation. And we've made rotation anyway, reflect on the amount of games that Manchester United have played this season. That Man United have played this season and that. But yeah, you saw my recent video today that I did, didn't I? I said to you, didn't I? Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is assessing his options for next season. And I did, give you Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's dream team, what it could look like if, we do strengthen them key areas. And if we were to sign, Koulibaly, Harry Kane and Jadon Sancho and Jack Grealish. But, I give you obviously, how we could I predicted how we could line up next season, didn't I, on my recent video. I don't think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer knows his best formation as yet. So this is something, obviously, of course, Solskjaer needs to work on. On a regular basis this season, Solskjaer's been going with that 4-2-3-1 formation. And from my own perception, that doesn't really seem to suit our standards I think we look more expansive with that 3-5-2 formation, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. And he seems to have gone with three at the back a lot against, the elite opposition. But I think Solskjaer's approach to the big games throughout the course of this season have been very, very good anyway. I think when he was the interim manager, Solskjaer, in that 3-month period, I think he went a lot with the 4-3-3. So I still don't think, he knows his best formation as yet. But like I mentioned, Solskjaer has revealed, his plans for when the transfer market does reopen. Don't forget, Solskjaer did say the other week, that we will exploit the transfer market when the transfer market does reopen. So Solskjaer, believes, we can get the right calibre players in when the transfer market does reopen. And I've got to say, I think we've improved in the transfer market under Solskjaer, like I've mentioned on my recent videos. I think, we look... we've been a bit more sensible with our recruitment, let's be honest. So far Solskjaer's, recruited 5 players in 3 transfer windows. Of course, last summer he recommended Daniel James in. He also recommended Wan-Bissaka in, and he recommended Harry Maguire in. And in January, of course, he recommended Bruno Fernandes and Odi Nagalo in. He actually, didn't recruit anyone in his first transfer window. It was the 2 previous transfer windows he recruited 5 players into the football club. But yeah, he has revealed his plans when the transfer market does reopen, and Solskjaer's got the backing of Ed Woodward, and he's also got the backing of the Glazers. But I can assure you, that Solskjaer will be Manchester United manager, next season. Maybe even if he wasn't to get qualification for the Champions League, I still think, he could be Manchester United manager. Solskjaer's obviously, revealed his transfer strategy. He still wants to continue the policy of recruiting young British players in like he did do last summer. And I think a lot of people are excited, with the transfer strategy that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's got and stuff like that. But I think Man United are expected to make around 4 signings when the transfer market does reopen, because Solskjaer believes, we need around 4 signings, to become title contenders next season and stuff like that. And he's already identified, the areas where he does want to strengthen up. We're looking to get a centre forward, we're looking to get a right winger, and we're looking to get a midfielder. There's still some reports emerging out saying that we could possibly get a centre half in, but we will see what happens regarding that. Obviously, there was a lot of good news that came out last week regarding Ed Woodward, because obviously, Ed Woodward is no longer involved in our recruitment process, which is very, very good news. Because Man United have been very, very critical of Ed Woodward, not only this season, for several years. And I think Ed Woodward's been at the football club now for a good 7 or 8 years or so. And, he's been criticised, reflecting on, his poor selection of managers. Because Ed Woodward has sacked 3 managers, he sacked Moyes, Van Gaal and Jose Mourinho. Also, too, our recruitment policy has been poor for several years. He's been criticised for overpaying for players. Like I mentioned, 75 million for Lukaku, 89 million pounds for Paul Pogba, 89 million for Pogba, 80 million for Harry Maguire, 50 million for Fred, 40 million pounds for Matic. So Manchester United are known for overpaying for players. So this is why also too Ed Woodward has been criticised. And he's got no intentions, by the way, of appointing a director of footballing, because don't forget, last summer we was in search for a director of football, but of course Manchester United didn't end up getting one in, unfortunately. There was a few former Manchester United players linked with the role, but we've also been very, very critical of the club's ownership, the Glazers, and I think the Glazers have taken over £1 billion out of the club since 2005. Well, they have been here since I think 2005, so they've been here a good 15, 16 years now, have the Glazers. But analysed it throughout the course of this season, we have been, criticising Solskjaer a lot as well. I criticise Solskjaer, when he deserves to be criticised, to be quite honest. We have enjoyed our worst start ever to a Premier League season for 30 years. It's our worst start to a Premier League season ever, since Solskjaer got the job permanently. His record has been disastrous. But there again, his record was disastrous at Cardiff. Man United is the 3rd club that Solskjaer is managing in his managerial career. Because before he came to us, he was at Mould. Did well at Mould, won a couple of Norwegian titles. And before he was at Mould, he was at Cardiff. He got sacked from Cardiff, because he ended up getting Cardiff relegated. So he is inexperienced as a manager, so that's an element of concern. But the longer he remains in the Man United job, he's going to be gaining more experience. So let's just put that into the equation. Give Solskjaer another season. If it doesn't work out, that's when, I would get rid of Solskjaer. But there again, Man United haven't really got the structure to keep sacking managers. We're not really known for a sacking football club. But, Solskjaer is fighting to he's fighting for success. He's fighting to be successful at Manchester United, and that, yes, he is. And like I mentioned, reflecting on the size and the potential of this club, we should be in much more of a commanding position that we're in now. Basically, looking at it in reality, we should be in Liverpool's position, reflecting on the amount of money we've spent in the last 6 or 7 years. But we're not in Liverpool's position because obviously, City and Liverpool are strides ahead of us at the moment. The strides ahead of us at the moment are City and Liverpool. But, we can win silverware this season. We can win the Europa League. We can also, win the FA Cup and that. And I credit Solskjaer for progressing us to the Europa League last 8. And I also credit him, for getting us, to the quarterfinals of the FA Cup and stuff like that. But I think, he does deserve at least another season at Manchester United, and he does deserve at least a couple of more transfer windows. And I think Solskjaer's also promoted the youth very, very well, and he's got rid of a lot of the deadwood since he's come in. Around 9 players have left in total since Solskjaer came in. He's planning to get rid of around 5 or 6 players when the transfer market does reopen. So, yeah. But we have recruited a hell of a lot of players in since the Ferguson era. We've recruited over 30-odd players in since the Alex Ferguson era, and stuff like that. But I just don't think Solskjaer will replicate what Ferguson did. He won't. No one will replicate what Ferguson did because Ferguson is the greatest manager of all time. Ferguson endured 26, 27 years at Manchester United and he had 20-odd years of success, but he didn't win out in his first 4 years at the football club. But since Ferguson's left, we've been playing catch-up for the last 6 or 7 years. The mistake Ferguson made was recommending Moyes in. Moyes never should have come in. And obviously, after Moyes left, Van Gaal was there. We did win the FA Cup under him, but his philosophy wasn't right for the club. Mourinho, he wasn't right for the club, but did win 2 trophies in his first season and that. So, yeah. But we just got to hope that Solskjaer, can be successful at Manchester United. So that's everything to update you today. And also recently, I've been keeping up to date of what's been going on with Jadon Sancho. I've been keeping up to date of what's been going on with Harry Kane. Because they've been players on Manchester United's agenda. The other day I kept you up to date of what's been going on with Saul Niguez. I've been keeping up to date of what's been going on with Jack Grealish and that. So there's so many players on our agenda. So, yeah. So, anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always. And take care, God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon.